Hi everyone, it's Lindy on from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I've got some really fun little party favor jars to show you for the holidays. And we're going to get started by using this stamp set. This is a brand new stamp set from Art Impressions. And this is called the Christmas Keepsake Set. And this set has that little wooden basket that we can place any of our critters in, our snowman, our little tree. We're going to be placing the tree in it today, but I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along. And for the coloring, I'm using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens, and I've got Sugared Almond Pink, Beige, and Mid Brown, and those colors I'm using will be listed in the upper left-hand corner as we go along. Here I just added both colors at the same time and a little bit of pink on the cheeks, and then I'll use that Zig blender pen to blend that out. So as I mentioned, that little basket in the lower left-hand corner there, that's going to cut a little slit at the top of it when we die cut it, and that will allow us to put any of these little items inside that basket. And there's also another set that's very similar to this that came out in the fall. It was called the Fall Keepsake Set. And that one comes with a little tin bucket with a handle. So you could switch out this little wooden barrel for the tin bucket and switch out your characters as well, because that other set has a cute little owl, a little fox, a little cat. It does have a pumpkin and a mushroom, and then a little cluster of pumpkins with leaves that you can place inside the container. But those other characters, the owl, the fox, and the cat, would be perfect to mix and match with this set. So you could switch out those containers if you want. And hopefully there will be more sets coming out in this little series eventually. But for right now, there's these two sets. And I did do a card using that Fall Keepsake Set. And I will list and link that down below for you, as well as all the other products I'm using today. But I will list that video for you if you'd like to take a look at that. And for this video, we're not going to use that little ornament or the gift package. You will see them colored in, but I won't show that on camera since I did decide not to use those two pieces, but I'll save those for another project. And then you can see you have 3 sentiment stamp sets. This Snow Much Fun, Merry Little Christmas, and then that beautiful scripty, the sentiment that says Merry and Bright, and it's really pretty. I love the font on that. And then I also wanted to let you know there is a bundle set. And the bundle set does include the Fall Keepsake Set that I mentioned, and then this Christmas Keepsake Set. And then it also includes the Snowman Hug Set. And that particular set has all kinds of cute little snowmen in it. And there's a little couple there. There's a single snowman. And it's just really cute, and it's got great little coordinating sentiments that go with it. And then the last one is the Elf Puppet Set. And it creates all the dies you need to create this cute little elf. And those little bundle sets are usually at a great discount, so you might want to check into that. It's always a good way to get a nice price on these is when you bundle these sets together. So again, I'll list and link that for you. And let's go on to the little snowman. I've got Haze Blue and Sugared Almond Pink. And I'm using that Haze Blue just to give the snowman a little frosty look. You could also use a light gray here if you prefer. But I am going to be using some light gray on the little cuff on the hat. So I thought I would use that Haze Blue. And that's really simple. I'm just blending into it till it goes white. And then with blue and deep blue, we'll do the scarf. I've just got a piece of paper towel there just so that I don't smudge any of the coloring I've already done. So that just protects the coloring that I've completed. And with the blender pen, if you get too much ink, you can just scribble it onto your scrap paper until your blender pen goes clear, and then you can go back to your coloring. And to clean it off, you do want to do that same thing. Scribble it on your scrap paper, and that'll clean it right off for you. You could also use a water brush with these Zig Clean Color Real Brush pens. So now that we have the little hat and scarf done. I'm going to quickly do the buttons in that same blue, and then we'll do the mittens as well. We're going to be coming in and adding some details to all of these images using a white gel pen. And we're going to add some polka dots, of course, to our little scarf and hat for this little guy. So this little one was pretty simple to color in. And then I've got a little bit of orange for the nose. I'll place it down at the base of the little carrot nose and then pull that out towards the tip. And then with the wine red, I'm going to do the little outfit on the snowman. And I'm just going to use that one color. And then when I need a little bit more shadowing, I'm just going to come in with some more of that same color and blend that out. So these little images would be great to create a little winter scene. You could use all of them together, like I did in that fall card that I did using that other set, the Fall Keepsake Set. It was really fun. I used all the images and just created this really pretty fall card. But you could use these separately like we're going to do today. I also think these would be really cute to create little place settings. So you could just stamp these and glue these on a small place setting card and then stamp the person's name underneath. That would be really cute. Since you have a nice collection of different images, it would be a fun way to everyone, at the table would get a different one. And that's what I was thinking with these little jars. I thought it would be cute that they're all a little bit different. They look really cute when you line them up. You'll see that in the photos that I took. And then with May Green and Green, I'm going to do the tree. I won't color the whole tree in. Just going to give you an idea of what I did. I kind of added a little bit of the darker green sort of up underneath those little areas that overlap and then around each of the ornaments. And I did that all the way down. And for the ornaments, I'll just show you the red ones. I just put a little bit of color on one side and pulled it over to the other side. And then with yellow and bright yellow, we'll do that star really quickly, just adding a little bit of that bright yellow around the edges and pulling in. You could certainly use your gold gel pen here. That would be really pretty, or silver. And then with beige and mid-brown, I'm going to do the little trunk of the tree, which we really didn't need to do because we're going to be tucking it into this little basket. So let's go ahead and add some beige and mid-brown on this little basket or barrel, whatever you want to call it. And then we can add some shadowing, and then I'm keeping that center area the lightest. And then again, when this die cuts, it's going to cut the top of that basket and it's going to cut a slit in there so we can slide our little critters in there. And then with blue, I'm going to do the little boots on our elf. And we'll do the little collar on the jacket. And I'm putting that color up under the chin and then pulling it down. With May Green and Green again, we're going to do the rest of the jacket. Now you could certainly pick a non-traditional set of colors for this. You could have some pinks and turquoise colors. That would be really fun. So just kind of mix up these, and again, you can change up the look of the little jackets and hats with polka dots, stripes, plaids, whatever you like to do. So let's finish up the bottom part of the jacket. And I did the pants in that same green. I'll go back to that deep red and do the belt and then the little cuffs on the jacket, which later on we'll be adding a little bit of sparkle to these. To some of these items we'll use that Wink of Stella clear glitter pen, and that will add a nice sparkle. You could also use some dimensional glaze like on the little ornaments if you wanted to, just to give those a little bit more of a glossy finish. And then we'll do the little mittens in the same blue. And then for the hair, I'm going to use yellow and beige. The yellow sometimes is a little too bright, so by adding a little beige for the shadowing, I can tone that down a little bit. Back to the sugared almond pink for the cheeks and that flesh color for the rest of the skin. And then I'll color in the pom-pom and the little cuff on that hat in the same grays that I used for the little snowman. And then I had colored in the ornament and the gift package. Again, I'm not going to show those on camera because we're not going to be using those today. But I did grab my white gel pen and I'm adding some highlights. I added 3 little dots to the cheeks on our little reindeer, and then just some highlights here and there to make everything pop. And I added a little highlight to each of those ornaments using that white gel pen. I added some little polka dots to the gift package, and then I added polka dots to the scarf and the hat for the little snowman. Now you could use colored gel pens here if you prefer. Black or your red on red looks nice, or matching up your gel pen to your ink colors always looks good as well. So just have some fun with that. And let's grab the coordinating dies that do come with this set and go ahead and die cut these. And there's that little slit in that basket, and I'm going to pop that right in. We're going to be popping that tree in there, but any of these would look really cute in that little basket. You could do a whole set of baskets and place them, each of them in there as well. Now I've got some ball jars. These are the small 4-ounce jars, and they came in a 4-pack. And they're the perfect size for these little party favors. And then I'm going to use the Bible Journaling Decorative Margin dies. And these are 1.75 inches by 7 inches long. So it's going to wrap around the jar perfectly. And it's got that really pretty lacy border. I'm going to grab that one. And with some lighter weight cardstock, I'm using an 80-pound white cardstock because I want to be able to wrap these around easily. And so I die cut that border out, and it die cuts this whole entire piece. But I wanted that lacy border on the other side as well. So what I'm going to do is first get rid of all those little bits using my Spellbinders tool-in-one. And then I'm going to place the die down, upside down, and then I'm going to place what we die cut already right inside there. And I don't want to cut the opposite side. You can see that's a cut line on that die. So I'm going to place it right above that cut line, and then we'll go ahead and run that through. And you do want to tape that down just to make sure it doesn't move around on you. And then we'll have that pretty lacy border on both sides. And I did that for all 4 of those panels. Now I've got the journal cover paper pack. This is from Art Impressions, and this is the Winter Woodland. Later on, we're going to be using the coordinating 6x6 petite paper pad that is in the same combination of colors. But for now, I'm using this cover paper pack because the paper is, I believe it's about 6 by 9 inches. So it's going to be nice and long so that we can wrap it around our little jars. I've selected a few different patterns, and you can see that they're double-sided, so you get a really pretty pattern on each side. So let's go with those 2, and then I went ahead and die cut these 2 as well. And those are about 1 inch wide. And then I'm cutting those down to the 7 inches so they'll line up with that little lacy border that we have. And then we can just glue these together. I'm using the Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive to glue these down. And I'm just going to center it on each of these, and look how pretty that is. I just love how that looks. And I glued all of these together. So once that was done, let's go ahead and place these on the jars. Now I did decide to use my 1/4 inch double-sided tape. This is a nice strong tape. So I'm going to place a couple strips of it on either side. And then with my Cricut weeding tool, I'm just going to remove that backing. And then we'll wrap that right around the jar. And it's going to fit perfectly. So that 7 inch is perfect to wrap right around. Now I did find after, when these sat for a little bit, because I didn't have any tape on the ends, it popped up a little bit. So I came back afterwards with my glue and put a little bead of glue right where those two overlap. You could add some more tape, but it was easier just to slide the glue right in there, and that fixed that perfectly. So now we've got the little jars all wrapped. Let's grab the nested circle dies from Art Impressions, and I'm going to grab the one that fits on that little jar topper. And then here's that other paper pad. This is the Winter Woodland again, but this is the 6x6 paper pad. So those two coordinate perfectly. And this set has a little bit of red in it, so I decided to grab this red with all the little text on it. And I'm going to die cut 4 of those and attach those to the top of each of my jars. Once those were done, I decided to place a large snowflake on each of these. And so I'm using the large snowflake dies from Art Impressions, and I'm going to just run that through. I'm using that same Strathmore Bristol Smooth 100-pound cardstock. Oh, and here's where I wanted to show you. Those were popping up a little bit in the back because I hadn't placed any tape along that edge. So that's where I applied a little bit of glue, and that held it down nicely. So now let's go ahead and glue our snowflakes on. Just putting glue right in the center of each of these. That will allow me to pop up those snowflakes a little bit if I want some dimension on those. And then I've got these really pretty little pink and Maine diamond confetti. And there's 3 different sizes in here. So I'm going to place a large one down first right in the center of my snowflake. And then I'll place a small one in the center of that. So we'll get a little dimension on that, and that finishes off the top. You could certainly use red or green or mix those up. And then here's that little basket. So let's put some glue right along that opening and attach our little Christmas tree. And I'm going to let that sit and dry for a minute while I attach some of these to the other jars. Now I'm just going to place glue kind of on the center of this, and I'm just coordinating each of my little guys here with the paper that I chose. So I thought this one would look pretty on that blue and white pattern paper. And then I thought the little elf would look cute on this green and blue plaid. And then for the reindeer, I have that beige and white stripe, or this little snowflake one. So I did decide to use the snowflakes. And then we'll place the tree on that beige and white striped one. And I'm just pressing those down. You could certainly pop these up if you wanted to. And I'm just placing the glue only where the paper is so that it doesn't show through on the inside of the jar. And then I've got the journal template die set, which has tons of dies in it. And you know I use this all the time. I'm going to grab that little tag die. And then I'm grabbing 2 sentiments from the set that we're using. And they are perfect to fit in my little tags. So I've got those stamped. I place those in my mini MISTI and I quickly stamp those. I'll tape that down and run those through the die cutting machine. And I'm going to just edge those with a little bit of the Lumberjack plaid. This is the Distress Oxide. And I did that for all of these. And then I've got some red and white twine, baker's twine, and I wrapped it around the jar a couple of times, attached my little tag, and then I'm going to just cut away that excess. And here's the Wink of Stella clear glitter pen that I mentioned earlier. I'm going to add some sparkle to each of these, and I added it here on the little star and the ornaments. And then for the snowman, I added it to the hat. The reindeer, I added it to those little bells. And here again, I added it to the elf's little hat and the belt and the cuffs on the jacket. Now I've got some little paper shreds. I thought it might look like snow at the bottom, so I placed a few of those in there. And then we're going to place some candy in here. So I filled each of these. I only just put like a little bit down at the bottom. I didn't want to take up too much space because I wanted to be able to fit plenty of these little Hershey Kisses in here. And I just kind of put them in, and then I pushed them down and tried to kind of stuff as many as I could inside these little jars. And you could put your favorite little treats in here. You could put change in here. You could put anything you want. You could put money in here for somebody. So just have some fun with that as well. And then I'm just going to put those lids back on, and I'll give you a closer look at these projects. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to use that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. And also keep in mind that if you do use the links that I have provided below, I do receive a small commission, but it's at no additional cost to you. So I really appreciate it, and I hope you all have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.